up, you guys? Marty Schwartz here of Marty Music. I am hanging out in Nashville with an awesome musician and producer, Joe Pisapia. By the way, thank you for letting us get into your studio here. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you guys here.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Your studio is awesome, and you have some awesome guitars on the walls here that we're going to dive into some of them. So you were also a member of the band Guster, correct?
Yes.
And so when were you in that band?
Well, I started with those guys in '03, and I came on, I don't know if you're probably familiar with, when I grew up, Peter Holsapple joined REM and was the guy in the background doing all the extra stuff. And that's what I was like, you guys are a three-piece, you did too many overdubs on your record, I'll be that fourth guy, and I was going to come on for 4 months.
Yeah.
And it turned into 8 years. I was coming on to help him launch a record.
That's weird math, but
yeah, it was like next thing you know, I just kept my bag in the truck. That was it.
Well, you can kind of get lost in that touring and stuff. So were you like, has it been 4 months yet?
Yeah. Oh no,
you
weren't
right. Keeping track.
You look at the thing. Where were we yesterday?
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's look at
the Groundhog's Day of
exactly.
Someone told me a quote about that music. One of my guitar teachers said, "The road is the road is the road." Is the road.
Yeah, that's a good one. That makes a lot of sense for somebody who's on the road that long.
And so you transitioned into, producing.
Yeah.
And you've produced Katie Lang, Ben Folds, many more. As we'll learn as we talk to you, some different things. Were you producing at the same time that you were a musician? How did you transition into that?
It was, I think the first time I really produced something that wasn't just a demo for my friends or something for myself. I was dating a girl at the time, and she had done these demos, and I thought, those demos don't sound right. And then she was like, I said, how much do they cost? I'm like, that was back in the day when people still had budgets. And I was like, I'll do it for 1/10 of that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I said, this isn't right, or I felt I could do a little better or whatever. You always feel like, I could do better than that.
Yeah.
And then I tried it, and we worked pretty hard on it, and the label said, we want you to produce, but nobody knows you, so you have to bring in a real producer. You know what I mean?
So
I partnered up with
a
bigger name producer named Roger Mutno, and he was like, he's been one of my mentors, and I would ask him questions about like, hey, why did you use that mic, or why did you use that compressor? How do you use that compressor?
Pre-YouTube, you're getting your real education.
Pre-YouTube, yeah. Pre-flip phone.
Right.
So it wasn't even,
Oh man.
You had to learn under people's graces, right? It was like somebody who was graceful
mentoring, apprenticeship. You've got a ton of awesome guitars here in your studio, but let's start with the one that's in your hands right now. It sounded beautiful and it looks awesome. Looks very vintage.
Well, it looks that way.
Okay.
Because it's made to look that way. It is Relic.
Yeah.
Now, I've always been sort of a guy that's like, the Relic thing is kind of funny because it's sort of like, they make it look beat up. But this guitar, when I got it, I fell in love with it.
Yeah.
And you know how a great guitar, like if you just sit there and play a G chord and the way it feels against your belly, you're like, that's a great guitar. It's a great telly.
And so I assume it's custom shop.
It is, yeah.
So that's one of the things about the Relics is that they're handmade in the custom shop. So they're such nice guitars.
I'll be honest with you. I had the telly to end all tellies. I'm married to this telly for the rest of my life telly that my friend George Bradfute in Nashville, who they nickname of George is the Tone Chaperone.
Yes.
He's the coolest guy, amazing player, amazing visionary of guitars. And I kept going to his house and I'd play this one parts telly that he made. And I said, if you're ever going to sell this guitar, please consider me as a first right of refusal. And one day he said, I'll sell that guitar to you. And I had that guitar. It was my favorite telly. It got stolen on the road. I bought probably 6 tellies, and nothing compared to that one. Nothing compared to
Love lost.
It was love lost, and I kept chasing it. This one kind of feels like it, but it doesn't sound. And then when I found this one, I was like, this is the closest I got to that parts telly that was so magic.
Where'd you get it?
Over at Corner Music, my friend Chuck Tate, he's like, come here. And I was like, all right, he suckered me in. He suckered me in.
Yeah.
It was like perfect. And the cool thing about it, I was going on the road with KD. I brought the Gretsch out there, the anniversary model. And she kept telling me to turn down.
So you ended up playing with her?
Yes, I was the musical director for that tour. And so I thought the Gretsch was going to be the perfect guitar. She's like, Joe, you need a Fender. She kept saying that. I'm like thinking, all right. And she's usually right. That's one thing about Katie Lang, she's usually right. And so I said, he said, you know what? I said, I was leaving for London the next day to start the tour. He said, go ahead, take it for a month. You can bring it back if you don't like it. And he said, just don't scratch it up. And then he's like, oh yeah, never mind, scratch it up. So I was like, kind of like, yeah. I went out to London, played the first show, and from the first note at soundcheck, she was like, and I was like,
the one.
Yeah.
So I'm noticing you got a humbucker in it.
Yeah, it's got the Keith Richards thing, you know what I mean? And I had my guitar tech on the road, Doug Redler, who's an amazing guru. He put the little, so I could make it into a single coil.
Okay.
Yeah, to get that traditional Tele back pickup sound.
What's your thoughts on the Tele versus the Strat?
Well, it's funny. I'm like, Telecaster is my favorite guitar. I feel like it's so versatile.
Yeah.
But I do have a Strat that I bought a Strat about 20 years ago, and I just fell back in love with it. And I'm like, man, this Strat is killer.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it, because it's a Japanese reissue Strat.
Yeah.
And it plays like a chant. It plays like a dream.
Nice.
Yeah. But I'm still not as comfy as the Tele. Tele's like, I feel like it's my security blanket.
Sure. I mean, do you know sonically sometimes when you're producing, do you know sometimes when you want it to be a Strat instead?
Absolutely.
Like maybe like a solo. Yeah.
I feel like the Strat is like this sort of garnish guitar.
Yeah.
Like where it's like, we just need to put a little bit of that green sauce and go like that.
Yeah.
Like they do on Chopped or whatever. The Strat is great for that. A little thin slice of guitar.
I see right now you have it in the middle position.
Which is where I hardly ever go. It just ended up there.
Okay, so tell me about your thoughts on the how you use the pickups on that.
Well, like obviously the Tele thing is like sort of like, you get that like sort of
super bright.
Yeah, super bright, twangy. Sorry, like that nice twang. And then if I go to the humbucker, I can get a super buttery, delicious.
We're still going with the food analogies.
Totally. I can't.
So that's rich.
Yeah, it's
and
nice
if you go
rich.
back, it's a little.
And if I go back,
acid.
you need a little bit of acid. I could just hear Alex Garnishelli give up,
And I mean lemon, not the rock and roll acid.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm trying to get Looney Tunes at the end there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So I'm hearing this like classic country sound there. So the little slap back delay.
Yeah, a little slap. I love this memory, man. It's like I got this probably in early '90s.
Okay.
And it was like, oh, you got to have a memory, man. Man, when I heard it, I fell in love with it. Now I'm running stereo, so I'm only sending the slap. It's got the direct out and the echo out. I'm sending a tiny slap to the Princeton. And it just feels so good.
Do you always
it feels
have
so
that
good to
on?
sit here.
Like in your style or?
No, but I a lot of times, like in my music, I play clean a lot. And so I'll put this on for the solo. You know what I mean? It'll just give a little more 3D.
Yeah.
And I'll just play the rhythm with this, just without it, And then comes the or whatever. It just fills up that space.
Do you mess with as a producer? You have to just constantly experiment with different effects and sounds, different guitar combinations, amp combinations. It's probably you probably drive yourself nuts sometimes, right? How do you edit yourself so you're efficient?
Well, there's a good question. I don't. Right? Okay, so for me, like a lot of times, nowadays, I feel like, okay, my good friend is my lawyer. He was always my lawyer, but I've known him since he was a kid. Guitar's dead. Nobody uses guitar anymore. It's all keyboards. I'm like, all right, you're right. So it's fun. It makes it kind of fun for a guitar player to be like, well, I could mess with the sound as much as I want. It almost stands more of a chance in the mix.
Yeah.
People are used to hearing that in pop stuff.
Yeah,
so like, for instance, I'll just like, put a bunch of effects on and then, get a sound like, something kooky like this. or something. And it's like, and all of a sudden it sounds like somebody's doing Stranger Things or something. Yeah, it's like, it's of the parlance of our times. And that's just like the first thing I pressed.
We magically have now a Stratocaster in your hands.
Yeah.
Tell me about this guitar.
So this guitar, okay, I got this late 80s, early 90s at Chuck Levin's Music in near Baltimore.
Okay.
I was going to college in Pennsylvania at the time. We're bringing this guitar home. We get pulled over by the cops. And I'm like, shoot. So the cop's like, any reason why you were speeding? I'm like, well, to be honest, we just got, and I was with my bandmate. So I said, we just got this great guitar and we couldn't wait to get home and play it. Because I figure honesty is the best policy. And my friend's like, you're an idiot.
Yeah, you just
He
said
looks at
you're
me
a
like,
guitar
why did you say
player.
that? So the cop goes, oh yeah? What kind of axe did you get? And he was a player. And so he's like, next thing you know, we're opening the trunk and he's checking out. He's like, man, this is a really good one. Oh, it's got this, it's got the 5 springs and blah, blah, blah. And it was like, whoa, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, so it was so cool.
So what's up with the tape?
Oh, okay, so check this out. I was lucky enough, as if the universe isn't generous enough, as like, we had these neighbors move next door. Next thing you know, we're BFF. He's a guitar maker. His name's John Annan. He has a company called 444 Custom Guitars. Nice. And he makes these badass guitars where they take like old like logos, like Orange Crush and all that stuff, and put them into the wood. He used to work for Stone Temple Pilots. He was their tech.
Okay.
And the band called Dispatch from Boston, and he made all these. He made a jazz master for that.
I know
guy.
Dispatch.
You know those guys?
Yeah.
And he made this great lap steel for me. Anyway, he went through all my guitars one a week. And one of the things I kept telling him is like, and I'll try and make it happen if I play this guitar, and there's a sound that it's not doing it now, so I feel like the boy who cried wolf. But like,
no, it's all right.
When my fingers go across this, it goes like an electric noise.
Okay.
And I said, hey man, would you fix that? He's like, I checked everything, I resoldered everything. There's no, and I tried to get it to do it, there's no way. And he said, that's just because of your body electricity that does it.
You're electric, Joe.
I'm electric. And with the electric guitar, it's too much electric. So I put this thing here, and it's like, maybe people think they're gonna get some hot Van Halen action, but they're gonna be disappointed, because I'm not that good.
Well, I think that just the cop story alone makes this a lucky guitar.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And those are just, it's all stock from when you bought it?
Yeah, it's all stock. And I think what my neighbor John did, he made all the frets nice. He's like so meticulous. He's such a loving luthier. He made these. I had these springs going in an angle, and he put them this way. And since he did that, it's like everything behaves.
Oh, interesting. Oh.
Nice. It really plays nice, and doesn't. And I'm still in tune after a couple.
That's always good.
Yeah.
If I saw you playing with your fingers, is
Little
that just
bit.
something that evolved over the years?
Yeah, I play banjo to do overdubs.
Nice.
You know, not like Nashville, the real banjo
I get
players
it.
that play. You play Scruggs style? I'm like, I don't know. I play Joe style. I just get the job done. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll if it feels good to use the fingers, I'll use the fingers, and if it feels good to use the pick or a hybrid. You know.
yeah. So tell me about this guitar.
This guitar, there's a great guitar player in town named Tom Bukovac. He's like a great, fantastic session guy.
I've heard him.
And he had a store for a minute. I don't know if you ever experienced it, if you were here, called Second Gear.
Nope.
And it was the coolest place because it was a consignment store.
Ah, okay.
And everything was priced like ridiculously fairly, which is probably why the store isn't there anymore. He was like, it was an amazing thing. I walked in there and I'm playing this guitar for like an hour and a half. He's like, Jesus, Joe, just get the friggin' guitar. And I'm like, I don't know, my wife's gonna kill me if I go home with another guitar. So, I said, I think this is a great guitar. And so my neighbor at the time, who was a luthier, turns out he's a Harmony expert.
Okay.
And I said, would you mind if I took it home? He said, take it home. If you like it, buy it. He was super cool. And I took it home. I gave it to my neighbor. He looked at it. He said, man, this is a good one. It's a 66 Harmony Meteor. And he said, this is a steel reinforced neck, which I didn't know. He said, it's never gonna change. That's gonna be your neck forever. And it's very well intonated. I don't even think we had to move any of this stuff. And just out of the box, it was, and to me, this is my favorite overdub guitar. You can get the revolver sound out of it, you know. Get really raw, and it can get super pretty too, super beautiful.
I'm curious, the pickups on it.
Oh yeah, so the pickups are really what makes this guitar shine.
Yeah.
Because it's the gold foil pickups, which is like, to me, gold foil means makes you sound better than you are. I don't know, there's a magic to them. I don't really understand the science.
Gold.
I love gold foil. I don't need gold, I need gold foil.
Yeah.
You know?
I
But
mean,
they just do sound like, this guitar always sounds like it means business to me.
yeah.
Every note is really thick and bold and ballsy.
Do you think the wood bridge has any effect? The wood tailpiece?
Sure it does.
It probably adds to that.
Yeah, it sounds like, you know,
That deeper sound.
deeper, and I think it makes the notes not last quite as long.
Okay.
Like, you know what I mean? Like the Gretsch with that sort of round one, will
Yeah.
make it sustain just a hair longer
Yeah.
than this, and that has its own special thing. So, because it does kind of die pretty quick, but yeah, I love that. Yeah, I love this guitar. It's not the easiest, not the fastest
Get
guitar.
around.
Yeah, but it's nice. It makes you work for
It's
it.
like a classic car, right?
Totally.
The Tesla's gonna blow it off the line, but it's a '57 Chevy.
That's a good point. That's a
know?
good point. You're gonna look cool when you're driving it.
As cool as can be.
Yeah. One of the things, I don't know a lot about guitar, but I feel like a lot of times you look at a guitar, you play it acoustically and hear how it sounds. I think one of the things that makes this guitar sound so good is this big paddle of a headstock.
Okay.
I really think there's something to the neck-body ratio. You know, I don't know
Okay.
what there's a magic, and I feel like this one has something. You know, and it really sounds classic to me.
It does.
Yeah.
That's why we immediately went into that old sounding
Totally.
progression, you know?
Yeah. one of the things about guitars like that I love is when you're still surprised by it, and this one's every time I pick it up, I'm surprised.
Yep.
Like I'll just be like, oh, that's had like a minor chord is like, you get that little pull off, or.
Tell me about this Telecaster.
This is a 54 Esquire.
54
so
Esquire.
if it wasn't in the shape it's in, or maybe I could retire from it. But like, it was a player's guitar because if you see that somebody put holes here and holes here.
I saw that.
In the 80s, this had a Floyd Rose on it. Isn't that hilarious?
Oh, boy.
So somebody just said, I see your retirement and I ruin it. And so, but I love, like, okay, so this pickup is the original because the Esquire only had the one pickup.
Okay.
So somebody at some point put this Tele pickup in, and I have the original pick guard that didn't have the hole cut out for this, but it was always routed. The Esquire was like the sort of budget model, right? So, but listen to this front pickup, how sick it sounds. It's like Buck Owens. It's so thin and underwound.
Yeah.
And one of my friends said, you should probably get that pickup wound. I'm like, stay away from it. I love it. And I use this guitar all the time for like that shimmery E chord, that shimmery. I'll tune it back to regular, but man, it sounds so. It's just. It's so fun.
And the original pick guard probably.
I don't know. I'm curious if somebody cut this hole here for this, but this one looks vintage as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it looks patina and everything, but this is a great player's guitar. It's got a big baseball net. Yeah.
Oh, that's a cool sound.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
And then the back butter pickup sounds killer too. It's just so. Yeah.
There's that art again.
I know.
You were in Guster for 8 years.
Yeah.
Is there just something that really interesting that happened?
Let me tell you something that's really cool.
Yeah.
And one of the things that's like, I've had the experience that I know is rare that, people say, don't meet your heroes. So far I've met several of my heroes and they all turn out to be amazing.
Great.
Like live up above and beyond expectation, like where I'm like, wow, they're like one of the coolest people I ever met.
That's so cool.
So one of the busiest tours we were on, it was a 4-month tour. MTV2, they asked us to do this thing. They wanted to start, the same guy who started Unplugged started a show called Album Covers.
Okay.
Which I thought was the coolest idea. It was just like cover a band's album from cover to cover.
Yeah.
And we were trying to figure out what to do. I don't take credit for every idea, but this one I did. They chose my idea. I was like, what if we did Violent Femme's first record? Mm-hmm. And I feel like it's one of those records that even college kids later still knew, like guitar kids know Mountain.
Right.
These kids knew, and so we did it. And not only that, but the guys from the Violent Femmes came up and jammed with us. And at the end of the night, I played the bass, and I played his parts, and it was so hard that we had borrowed this Epiphone, the action was like that. Oh, my goodness. And afterwards, his wife, super sweet, she's like, you nailed it. And I was like, oh, thank God. And we got to hang afterwards and have beers and stuff, and it was one of my favorite nights. Because I felt like he was like, I was nervous because, and he's like, you got every part down. I was like, oh, man, I felt really good. I felt relieved. Yeah, I love this thing.
So what's the model? Jerry Jones?
This is a Jerry Jones baritone, and I'll tell you the story about this guitar is really close to my heart because when I was working with Katie Lang, she noticed that I didn't have a baritone. And so she called the other guy in the band, Lex Price, who played bass, great bass player, also producer, great guitar player all around. And he showed up to my door one day. I said, ooh, what do you got there? He said, no, what do you got there? And he handed it to me, and I was like, what do you mean? He's like, this is a gift for you from KD. She had me buy it. I never saw him with Bigsby. I loved it.
How often does this one make it onto recordings?
This is like another thing, like if we were playing Chopped, this would be in the pantry.
Yeah.
Or fridge. It wouldn't be in the mystery basket, but it'd be like, you know what? Can I get a couple slices of bacon? And I even have the little bit of that Fender, what do they call it, vibrato or tremolo? Tremolo. I have a little bit of that on, and that always seems to complement this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Moody.
It's really moody, and I like even to solo on it. It feels good to solo on because you could really get something. It feels chunky. You know what I mean?
All right, now I'll go minor.
Oh, I like it.
It's almost like a penny color.
Yeah, it is kind of like that, isn't it?
I don't know if
It's
they
got a
call
weird-
it copper or not, but maybe it depends on the lighting.
I wonder what color they call it. It is pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's like pinky, but salmony, and then coppery. Yeah, it's cool.
So one thing that I don't own a baritone, but I do feel like it is a great instrument, like a rut buster, like get out of a guitar rut where you're always playing the same stuff. Like I think a baritone guitar would be really cool to like kind of, it brings out some different ideas.
I'm with you. For me, like, I'm mostly a songwriter. That's my main thing that I always tried to do my whole life. Or main thing that was like frustrating, but yet I felt the best when I accomplished it. And I think I got pretty decent at guitar by just being a frustrated writer. Because you're like playing a riff over and over, and then it'd be like, ooh, but what about this?
That sounds awesome.
Or whatever, and so you get lost in it. And then,
That's
but you're right.
awesome, man.
Oh, thanks.
Is that something that you have? A
No.
piece of music?
Maybe we should write it.
You be sure to come back and listen to that because it just sounds really cool.
Oh, cool.
What you guys all think? Yes. Yeah.
You're right. That's not something I would think to do on a regular guitar.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't mean as much. If you just played those chords, it'd be, it would sound, so it wouldn't have as much gravitas as like, it's just a simple E chord, but it sounds so much better.
Sounds so good. Yeah. All right, I had so much fun hanging out with Joe Pisapia. Really appreciate him inviting us into his studio and wonderful conversation about guitar and music. Really enjoyed it. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Also, thank you for supporting Marty Music. Appreciate you subscribing. It's greatly appreciated. As well as check out Joe, his site. We've got links below. So check it out. And we'll see you guys again real soon. Here I go.